My name is Matthew Jessner, White Tiger Qigong instructor. We're here today to talk about the important foundations of stances, this one being Zhan Zhuang, which is a basic standing posture. So let's talk about standing. Usually standing is standing from the feet, stacking up. Depending on the weight distribution, this is a very basic stance, 2 feet parallel on the floor, standing. We will take the time to demonstrate in a minute. But because we're sitting, I want to allow us to construct some basic sensations to begin with. So because we're going to be sitting at the moment, sit more or less on the edge of your chair with your feet at a right angle. You can't see my feet, but it's okay. At a right angle. So the feet aren't pulled in and they're not sticking out. Complete right angle. And the feet, put the feet completely together. Rotate the feels out at the heels. Pick up the knees and just put them straight down. So your thighs will be along the line of your shoulder bones. Regardless of the shape of your body, we're talking about a skeletal alignment. So this end of the clavicle, which is the arm bone, the humerus, and the clavicle, this process, that bone is in the same line as your knees. And the feet are facing straight front as if you were skiing. We wouldn't ski like this because you would ski into opposite directions or ski in any direction, straight forward. Now let's talk about the feet. So the feet, when we're sitting, it's nice and passive because we don't have any weight on them. So because of this, we can actually use this opportunity to draw the feet up as if you're cupping. So this engagement of the foot to the earth is quite important. It's much easier to feel this if you are barefoot or wearing thin-soled shoes. I highly recommend that you don't wear running shoes or something that makes you feel very stable because the stability is in the ankle, but it disengages the foot. So we talk about engaging the foot on the floor and pulling up, or actually slight tension. I prefer to use this image. My beach ball. I'm holding it with a light pressure from my palms, but I'm drawing up. If I were to just grab the energy, I lose it. Which is the same thing with the feet. So we're drawing up, pulling, drawing the energy into the body. Now if you just do this sitting down, just draw the energy up under the arches along the sole of the foot, which is called the bubbling springs, drawing up. All of a sudden you'll feel the energy start to move up into your legs and into the pelvic area. And because we're sitting up, take the perineum, the floor, the pelvic floor, and try to just gently lift it inside. It's not about grabbing or engaging or core strength, just a gentle lift. And if you associate that lift with the lifting of the arches, all of a sudden you'll find that you're sitting in a much more suspended fashion, even on a chair. So now, I'll turn slightly to the side. With that suspension in the feet and that lift in the pelvic floor, we're just going to gently put our hands in this position, reach forward and put our hands around the top of the knee and just gently lift up. So pulling the knee into your belly to the degree of your flexibility and lifting up, lifting the breastbone and looking out. And now inhale, lift the knee all by itself and just release your hands and put them on your hips. And you'll feel the lengthening in the spine and the strengthening in the hips. Inhale, and just gently place the foot back down on the floor. Take your hands and hold on to the other knee, leaning slightly back and picking straight up. You'll notice that my knee is very well into my chest, my shoulders are not up, nice and down. And inhale, look out, and put the hands on the hips, holding the knee, drawing up the pelvic floor, drawing up the feet, and gently, gently release onto the floor. And I would like you to remark the sensation that you have the feet drawing up, legs drawing into the hips, the pelvic floor lifting, and then the back is now lifted because we just engaged everything. This is only sitting, but it is that same sensation that we're going to search for standing. Now let's stand up and move to Zhan Zhuang. So now we're standing. We've had the sensation of drawing the energy from the floor or the earth into the bubbling springs, which are the soles of the feet, drawing up into the core, lifting the pelvic floor. We're not grabbing, and the suspension in the spine and the engagement in the hips that we had with our hands. So the space of the feet out is a question of goal. Some Zhan Zhuang positions, which are standing, will be a bit wide. And they're kind of anchored, very wide and very strong, and often with the legs are straight. In this version of Zhan Zhuang, we're not there. The feet will be completely underneath us, and we're going to open the heels together and just put the feet out at a 45-degree angle, which is here. We're not going to be right the way out, just 45 degrees. Lift the heels up into the belly, turn the heels out, and place them down, and the legs are now straight. And as you notice, my feet are directly front. Everyone has a different leg structure, the way that the femur bone, the thigh bone comes into the pelvic structure, the way that the femur bone, the thigh bone goes into the tibia, the shin bone, the way that the shin bone and the other bone, the tibia and the fibula go into the ankle, and the way that the feet are structured. This structure varies in alignment, but there's basically almost nobody that can't stand with basically straight legs. Even if you have a tendency to have knock knees or a little bit bow-legged, with a proper training, we can align that in a different way. So the space is basically as wide as the bones. So looking straight down, you can put your hands straight down, and now look, you'll probably see that your fingertips are pointing just towards the edge of your feet. This is about as wide as we want to be. So now what we're going to do is stack everything up. I will turn slightly 45 so that you can see me. You should remain standing front. So my legs are completely straight. I'm not tipping back. I'm not leaning forward. I'm not ski jumping. I'm just standing. And I'm going to release my ankles, not bending them. I'm going to release my knees. And I'm going to release my hips down. So it's not a squat. It is a very gentle release of the joints to allow the energy to circulate in the ankles, to allow the energy to circulate in the knees, and to allow the energy to circulate in the pelvic girdle. It is a buoyant sensation. There's a certain buoyancy. It's absolutely not grinding down. There's a buoyancy there, very much along the lines that we would see with something like this. We've all seen these in the gyms. It has a certain resistance and a certain buoyancy to it. So yes, there's strength, but yes, there's flexibility. So in the legs, the proper disposition, the drawing up of the feet, the drawing up of the pelvic floor, and just the release of the ankles and the release of the knees and the release of the hips so that they're buoyant but present. That is from the hips down. Now let's talk about the back. The back, the lowest part of the back is the sacrum and the tailbone going in to the pelvic girdle. The pelvic girdle goes from the pubic bone up along the ilium crest, going around, and the sacrum fits into it and inserts it directly into the pelvic girdle. So this juncture of the trunk of the body into the pelvic girdle, into the legs, is an incredibly significant part. So with the tailbone, we're not going to tuck it under so that we're grabbing under and holding. It really sits straight down. And to oppose the descent of the spine, we're going to lift the rest of the spine. Very often you will hear, lift your energy from the crown of your head. The energy from the crown of the head, yes, but from a muscular standpoint, no. Because what very often happens when we try to lift the crown, we tend to strain in the neck and we lose a great deal of mobility in the cervical, the neck. So I highly recommend to lift your spine from this point here, which is the very top of your thorax, T1, thoracic 1. In Qigong, Da Chui, very significant point. So drawing the feet, releasing the ankles, releasing the knees, and engaging the hips in a buoyant fashion. The tailbone gently moving down, but raising up the top of your spine, and the head is then very loose on top of it, but well stacked. So we're almost there. We have the feet engaged, we have the knees and the ankles released, we have the hips placed correctly, we have the back lifted and sitting right the way down, and now we have to go to the arms. So what we do is we just make a little bit of space to allow your arms to breathe. We're not posturing, we're not trying to make a big deal, we're just opening the arms as if your back were of a fan of a peacock, opening wide. And this width, this breadth, this expanse in the back gently opens the elbows and the arms without posturing and no muscle. And now there you are. You're suspended in the spine, buoyant in the legs, engaged into the floor, and buoyant in the legs. And just stand there and feel that. Just stand. and breathe naturally, completely natural breathing. We'll get to the breath. The head is free. The chin is slightly in so that we're not tipping back. The chest is neutral and not caved. The arms are open because the back is expanding. The hips are nice and relaxed, but available. The knees are released and not squatting. The ankles are released and not squatting. And the feet are drawing the energy in. And now we're going to breathe. And when we breathe, our energy goes away. And when we extend, and when we exhale, the energy comes back in, but we don't condense and compress. So often we hear the idea about expansion and contraction. I differ. Contraction has a contraction connotation. Returning concentric into the center. So eccentric is away from the center, and concentric is into the center. Concentration. Concentric. So we'll breathe, expanding away from the center and returning into the center without shrinking or condensing. Eccentric, away from the center and breathing, returning to the center. The feet are engaged, the legs are buoyant, the back is lifted. Inhale, away from the center and return back into the center. And just stand there for a moment and breathe naturally. Away and return. Don't grab. Expand, eccentric, and return, concentric. Now we're going to do some physical sensations that are slightly incorrect, but not in any way injurious. Stretch the legs strong and keep the same disposition of the body and breathe. Just notice that with the legs totally stretched and everything else right, the energy stops in the torso and not in the earth. And now release the knees, feel the earth, and join the torso and the legs. Breathe again. And now we're going to keep the legs nice and perfect. And we're just going to release the arms, flaccid and relaxed. So the upper body is almost dead, but nicely standing, and then breathe. You feel weight in the legs, no presence in the back, nothing really happening in your brain, nothing in the head. And it's nice, relaxed, but it doesn't do much. And now engage the torso, engage, and breathe again. Eccentric and concentric, integrated whole. Inhale, expand, and return, and come back. One more time, inhale, expand, and return, and come back. Now we're going to place our hands very gently just below the navel on the lower belly. If your elbows are collapsed, we're going to open the elbows, but not by posturing, just by opening the back. And relax and feel the energy coming into that point in the belly. Breathing in, expanding from the back, the lower back, and down. So there should be no muscular tension in the legs, but they're still engaged. Draw up the feet into the pelvic floor, draw up the spine, and release the head and down. Close your eyes. Inhale through the nose. And exhale through the nose. Inhale through the nose. And exhale through the nose. And bring both feet together. And release. So you have just stacked your entire energy from the floor through the feet, releasing the availability of the ankles. So they're not flaccid, but they're available, buoyant. The knees available point to move anywhere you want to go. Very slowly, very controlled, very strong, or very dynamic and very rapid, because you're in a state of availability. Remember one thing, Zhan Zhuang is a stance, but it is already Qigong. Zhan Zhuang is not a resting place, and as I say in a somewhat cheeky fashion, Zhan Zhuang is not parking. It is availability. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Matthew Chesner, White Tiger Qigong instructor. Welcome to the White Tiger YouTube channel. Please enjoy the wide range of instructional videos that we have to share with you. If you like this video, click like. If you wish to subscribe, please subscribe. And if you have comments, we welcome your comments below. And last and not least, please don't forget to go to visit our website, www.whitetigerqigong.com. Thanks.